My husband and I and our friends stayed at a BB in the mountains to prepare for rafting. Before we left, the 6 or 7-year-old girl in the store secretly pulled me down. "Sister, they want to drown you." What? I thought I heard wrong. I heard them say you can't swim and they want to drown you. I was about to ask again when my husband came over and urged me to go, so the girl timidly lowered her eyes and ran toward her parents. On the way, the mountains were breezy and the scenery was beautiful, but I was worried as I thought about the little girl's words. How could a child say such strange things for no reason? Beside me, my husband Michael was laughing and joking with his friends, looking very happy, pulling my hand and telling me to watch my step. Husband's friend James described the rafting here as real rafting. He's been here before and it's much more fun than the artificial rafting in the city. His girlfriend Emily was so excited to take pictures of us and asked me to take more pictures of her later. Michael and I were just getting married. James was a classmate of my husband's, and the two of them have always been very close, and his girlfriend Emily, who is the kind of person with a big personality, chatted with me and became a friend as well. The four of us often hang out together, and this rafting trip was something I had been looking forward to for a long time. When the little girl said they were going to drown me, who was she referring to? How is that possible? It's just childish nonsense. Maybe they heard something and misunderstood. I can't ruin a long-awaited vacation by doubting my friends because of a child's thoughtless remark. I wanted to tell my husband about this strange incident, but I stopped thinking about the timid look in the little girl's eyes. When she saw him, the little girl was talking about them, including the husband. It's getting outrageous. I tried to relax and not think about it, but I really didn't know how to swim. A twinge of apprehension rose in my heart, and I couldn't erase it. That rafting in the wilderness isn't dangerous, is it? I can't swim, I asked. James laughed and said, "Ha ha, it's not dangerous at all, don't worry. Scenic development of the line, quite safe. Tickets also have accident insurance, not afraid." Maybe it's psychological, but I think he's smiling a little unnaturally. My husband held my hand tighter and smiled dotingly. "Don't be afraid. I used to be a school swimming champion. I'll protect you." Feeling the warmth of my husband's hand, I looked at him sideways. This is my favorite husband. Even my fingers broken skin of the man to heartache half a day. How could want to kill me? I'm really paranoid, right? With a bit of guilt, I smiled sweetly at my husband. "Ouch, can you two stop showing love at every turn?" Emily beamed and complained, "Jessica, I promise you, you'll never want to leave this place once. Never want to leave again." I woke up early in the morning in a weird mood, and at this point that sounds a little less than auspicious to me. We arrived at the start of the rafting trip, and there were only staff and no other tourists. I asked worriedly. The staff explained, "You come early. The water is cooler in the morning. Usually after 10 o'clock people gradually more. That's our equivalent of a pack and play. Ha." Emily excitedly splashed James with water and the two of them played around. The stream seemed smooth and not too deep, and my nerves were removed a lot. I saw the safety precautions on the sign next to me, marking the rafting route, with 2 sections of rapids marked in red. "Wear your life jacket and helmet, just sit tight." The staff casually threw over life jackets and helmets. "Let me help you." Hubby thoughtfully helped me fasten the straps of my life jacket. "Sister, they're trying to drown you." The words popped into my head again untimely. Ghostly sneak check. My husband tied it properly. I secretly reinforced it again, and silently stored the scenic rescue phone number into my cell phone, and set it to one-touch dialing. The raft is a small inflatable boat, just sit 4 people. I'm too timid to sit in the front row. My husband sat with me, in the back row. The staff pushed us hard into the current. The water splashed and pummeled my face, a little icy. but I quickly acclimatized to the temperature. With everyone screaming with excitement, our inflatable went downstream. "Look, lots of fish." Hubby excitedly pointed them out to me. "The water of the stream is clear, and you can see the pebbles on the bottom of the stream are warm and moist, and small fish are swimming. Both sides of the forest shade the sky, insects singing, birds, wild fun." I reached out and touched the cool stream. What a refreshing place to be. Soon, however, it became apparent that the current was becoming swift, and the kayak began to pound and bob violently, splashing and getting us all wet. James and Emily kept screaming with excitement, and I was so scared that I was clinging to the boat rope, and they all laughed at me when they looked at me. Hubby wrapped his arms around me. "Not afraid. It's okay. It's okay." After a section of rapids, the stream flattens out and becomes gentle again, like a little witch with an uncertain temper. That's when I noticed, however, that the straps on the side of my life jacket were loose. Not just one side, but both sides. "Hey, how did the straps come loose?" My husband was also surprised. "Maybe it was the shaking." "I'll help you tie it again." "I'll do it myself." I grimaced and refastened the straps of my life jacket with a deadbolt. It was then that I detected James exchanging shallow glances with my husband the moment he looked back. All three of them had their straps on properly. I, on the other hand, have reinforced the straps, so why is mine the only one that came undone? And even if it shakes a lot, there's no way it's going to come undone automatically. Unless someone just took advantage of the chaos and untied me, and that person, most likely, was the husband who had just clung to me. My husband and I met by chance while traveling, fell in love at first sight, and got married 3 months after falling in love, counting less than 6 months since I met him. But we have been very sweet, and I have never been happier than when I was spoiled like a princess by him. Every day after marriage, we are very affectionate and have no conflicts. Why would he do this? I can't figure it out. Right now I can't think about it. My sixth sense tells me that I could really die today. Between the jagged rocks, the current began to pick up, and I knew it would be a longer stretch of rapids before the raft would slide into a deeper pool. If they do have malicious intent, it must be a good time for them to do it. I can only pray that it's all in my head. I was getting more and more scared, probably too nervous, and the rapids in front of me made my heart pound. I closed my eyes tightly and screamed at the top of my lungs, "Ah! Help! I can't." The people beside me just laughed and screamed along with me, only it was the sound of excitement, and the valley was filled with the echoes of our voices. Soon the rubber boat suddenly paddled up a narrow steep slope. The boat tilted, and in moments the whole thing buckled over. The moment I hit the water, a strong feeling of suffocation rushed over me. I was not in control of my body, but luckily the life jacket kept holding me up, and the moment I was exposed to the water, I took a big breath. "Wife!" I heard my husband's anxious cries, and in the turbulent current, I saw him desperately swimming toward me, reaching out his hand to me. I fought to meet him like a lifesaver, but I didn't realize that at that moment, what he grabbed was not my hand, but my life jacket. "Save!" I looked at him pleadingly, and saw the hesitation in his eyes in that moment. The rapid and immense force of the current continued to pound us, and I felt my husband tug so hard that my loose life jacket came off me, and the current swept me instantly into the depths. I struggled to surface, only to see Michael's eyes like hungry wolves lurking in the jungle, glowing with an ethereal light, the murderous intent of the hunt growing steadfast. The river was like a million hands, dragging me into the abyss. Just at the moment when I was almost in despair, a rescue team's siren sounded in the distance. Early on, during the violent bumps earlier, I seemed to have a premonition of what was about to happen. With my cell phone hanging in a waterproof pouch on my chest, I secretly dialed the rescue number at the touch of a button. I didn't dare to look at the phone, and I couldn't hear if anyone answered on the other side. I pretended to scream out of fear, "Ah! Help! I can't." The people around me just laughed at me, not realizing that I was really calling for help. The sound of honking sirens on the shore came closer and closer, and urgent human voices came. In the cold splash of water, my husband's expression suddenly changed. He shifted from indifference to panic and then to a look of urgency. He pretended to swim desperately toward me, calling out for me, "Honey, come on, grab my hand." There was tension in his voice. I grabbed his hand. The rescue team approached quickly and they worked with Michael to get me out of the water. On the shore, I wrapped up in a blanket. Michael kept holding on to me as if he was afraid that anyone would take me from his arms, and the show went on hard. I shivered and gasped for air, the deepest fear in my heart coming not from the rushing stream, but from this man holding me. "Honey, you scared me. Are you okay?" He looked at me with worried eyes, but in fact, was just watching my reaction. His masquerade play chilled me to the marrow of my bones, and I didn't have an ounce of strength to respond to him. He kept reassuring me. "Luckily the rescue team came and it's already okay. Thanks." I shuddered and said, "Thank you. Don't thank us. Your husband saved you." The uncle of the rescue team said. I looked at my husband. He gave me a gentle smile and hugged me tighter. "My wife is my life." James and Emily also gathered around. "Jessica, you're okay." "Great." I was told that they were rescued from the water by the rescue team in a more critical situation than me. I grunted inwardly. What a show. Rescue team uncle said, "Strange, how can the boat capsize? We have conducted many safety tests here. As long as you sit firmly, there will be no problem. Is it that you all press to one side when the bumps?" Everyone was silent. Uncle was right. I recalled that when the bumps came, they all fell to my side as if by appointment and snapped the dinghy right over. The incident was rightly defined as an accident by everyone but me, who knew that my new husband and his friends wanted to kill me by accident, but I could hardly ask for help from anyone. When we got back to the BB, people heard about us and praised us for our luck in being found in time by the rescue team, and for having a good husband, and I barely managed to squeeze out a smile. Not far away, I saw the little girl, with the crocheted hair hiding behind an adult, looking at me with some concern. Michael thanked the crowd for their concern, and helped me to my room, citing my need for rest. This man whom I called my husband revealed an unusual tenderness in every action, and he seemed to be trying his best to perform the role of a caring husband. However, I could always see from the depths of his eyes the sinister venom that he tried his best to hide, making me shudder. Just half a day away, the quaint, quiet room has felt worlds apart in my mind. When I first moved in, I was filled with joy and anticipation. Now, in the same room, with the same bed, I felt nothing but a wave of unspeakable fear, as if all these still lives were as if they had come from the prison of hell. "Honey, I want to go home. Let's leave first thing in the morning. I am very isolated here and just want to hurry home. Whatever demons and monsters they are, as long as I can get back, I can get away from them immediately." This, Michael, is a bit difficult. Let's wait until you've recuperated. You rest first. I've asked the kitchen to make you some ginger soup. Drink it while it's hot. I saw a pair of crochets in the window, and that little girl showed half of her head and looked at me with big flashing eyes. "Hubby, I want some of that red bean cake from yesterday. Go ask the kitchen for me, if they still have it." "Okay." He turned around and went out. I went to the window and the little girl showed her head, big watery eyes. "I was so worried you were dead." "Good girl." I stroked her head. "Where did you hear they were going to drown me?" The little girl pointed upstairs and she told me that her kitty had a secret nook right in the attic. It was there that she heard my husband talking to someone about drowning me. "Sister, they're bad guys, right?" I nodded. "Thank you. You saved my sister's life. Hearing footsteps approaching outside the door, the little girl ran away. I quickly poured the ginger soup down the drain. Michael gave it to me. I wouldn't dare drink it. I pretended to have fallen into a deep sleep. As he opened the door and came in, he gently tucked me in, closed the door and walked out. I heard the footsteps had gone away, and gently tumbled out of the window, and climbed up into the narrow attic, where the little girl had pointed. The wooden staircase leading to the attic hung vertically, and the entrance was extremely narrow, dimly lit, and filled with a musty odor. A few rays of light came up through the cracks in the wood paneling. I heard Michael's voice. I think we'll forget about it this time. Why don't we find another chance later? Insurance companies are getting harder and harder to fool now. That's James' voice. If we don't kill her this time, it'll be harder to make an accident when we get back. I have a backup plan. Let's try again. Jessica was in a hurry to get back. She couldn't have sensed something, could she? Michael said, we can't let her go back. If she really senses something, she can't go back. But Michael is still hesitant. Brother Michael, this is Emily's voice. You can't be bothered to part with it, can you? Jessica is so beautiful. Hey. She's been nothing but praise since the first day I met her. Michael's voice was cold and clear. James, go ahead. Your backup plan. How do you get it? Viper. James' tone was cold and piercing, as if coming from some shadowy cave. James said that he purchased a local highly poisonous snake species through a special channel, and hid it in a hidden place in advance. That venomous snake was so intensely poisonous that once bitten, not even the gods could save it. Now all that was needed was for Michael to find a way to keep me for another day, and take me to the nearby 100 Meadows to play, while they waited for an opportunity to release a poisonous snake to bite me. That way, getting bitten by a poisonous snake while playing in the mountains, and dying from the poison couldn't look more like an accident, and would never be suspected by anyone. The thing about poisonous snakes is that they are uncontrollable. What if even we get bitten? Asked Michael. Don't worry. The first bite of this snake releases all its venom, and is so ferocious that it is virtually incorrigible. But its second bite is non-venomous because it takes 7 days for it to resecrete its venom once more. So, just follow my plan. Make sure the first bite of the snake is Jessica, and the rest of the group is safe. Very devious and perfect plan. I was so creeped out by what I heard that I didn't want to stay for a moment, and didn't even dare to go back to my room to get my luggage. I collected a thin blanket on the clothesline outside the house, and draped it over my body, and ran along a path behind the bed, and breakfast toward the dense forest in the mountains. I ran down the narrow, coiled trail. It was getting late, and even in summer, the temperature in the mountains plummeted. Soon I realized that I was lost, and that I might not make it down the mountain in the dark. The plants on both sides of the road were so thick that unidentified critters were shaking their branches. Just then, there was a chilling rustle in the woods, and a huge black shadow whipped by. A bear. I was so scared that I immediately crouched down behind a bush, and didn't dare to move a muscle. At this point I regretted it. I only blamed myself for being scared by their conversation just now, and wanted to hide away from them. And now I realized that this move was too risky. They didn't get me killed. I might have gotten myself killed. Slowly to see the black shadow is a backpack demonstration, wearing a hat. Farmer's grandfather, Grandpa. I screamed in excitement. He saw me and was shocked. Mom. Scared me to death. Girl, what are you doing here alone? I was out for a walk and got lost. You've got a lot of nerve coming halfway up a mountain. There are lots of snakes in the mountains at night. It's too dangerous. Why aren't you afraid of snakes? We mountain people, we all run light with snakes and are not afraid of them. What snakes are running out? Monler Jacket's outlet handed me a small cloth bag. You take it. This is the use of Zionuang, Kangsu, fritiaries, green wood, fragrance, and some herbs ground into a powder, and then soak the wine in rice vinegar for a month or so, and then dry it in the sun in a bag, and this is Snake Run Light. Take it with you, slap it all over yourself, and the poisonous snakes, insects and ants will all go around you. Monler Outlet Store. I was led up the main road, and asked if I was staying on or off the mountain, and at that moment, I hesitated. I could have chosen to go down, but then I remembered that all the heart I had given to Michael in the past 6 months had become a fish to be slaughtered in his case. Even if I call the police now, I have no evidence and they will surely weasel their way out of the case. And because I know their secret, it's unlikely that they'll let me off in the future. Why? Why should I be the one to run away in a mess, while those vipers get away with it? At that moment, I looked up at the lights lit up on top of the mountain, and told the grandpa that I lived on the mountain. Running away is not my way out. I will make them pay. Back at the BB, Michael, James and Emily were anxiously looking for me. Michael nervously greeted me and hugged me. Honey, where have you been? I blandly said, am going for a walk. James did not have the good sense to say, walk you say hello cell phone also do not bring, 'cause us to look for. Jessica, you scared me to death, the sky is dark, you have to pay attention to safety Emily is also very nervous about me. Emily was also very nervous about me. Emily is also very nervous about me. I let out a cold snort in my heart. You guys are most afraid of my safety, right? I'm not a kid. I'm just going out for a walk. Why are you all so nervous? Why are you so nervous? I laughed and said, the air in the forest is so nice. Good. You guys should go for a spin too. At night in the room, Michael tenderly said, wife, James said the car tire is broken, has contacted the nearest garage, but will not be able to deliver it until tomorrow afternoon. It seems that we cannot return tomorrow. I knew that the tire damage was not an accident. It was their way of trying to keep me another day. Seeing that I didn't react, he said, but it's good. We can stay here for one more day. I heard the boss say that there is 100-flower meadow nearby. The scenery is very beautiful. We can go there to have a picnic, sunbathe and relax. I nodded, pretending to gladly accept his offer. This man still maintained the handsome and gentle manner that made me fall in love at first sight, but at this moment, he became, in my eyes, no different from those vipers lurking in the shadows ready to deliver a fatal blow. The next day, the sun shone brightly and we pitched our tents in a meadow called 100 Flowers Meadow. This hillside meadow was like an emerald green canvas dotted with colorful wildflowers, with the mountains rolling in the distance, and the blue sky and white clouds. Everything seemed so peaceful and beautiful. However, behind this serenity lay a poisonous heart. I pretended to be in a relaxed mood, observing their words and behavior. Michael and James were busy setting up the tent. They looked unusually nervous, and as I was suspecting that they would be tampering with the tent, Emily came over and blocked my view. Wow, it's so beautiful here. Come on, let's take a selfie. She raised her cell phone and pressed her face against mine intimately, and the beauty function on the screen made us as beautiful as a picture. However, there was a hint of imperceptible cunning in her eyes on the photo. Nice. One more. I wasn't completely distracted by Emily, and I was almost certain that Michael and James had placed vipers in the tent. They moved carefully, pulling the tent zipper tight. Before sighing in relief and exchanging a satisfied look with each other, Michael pretended to be casual and said to me, honey, the tent is set up. There are a lot of mosquitoes outside. Go rest in the tent. Emily pretends to be souring up on the sidelines. Ouch, wifey every day, mealy-mouthed to death. I decisively refused. I didn't feel any mosquitoes. Emily, Jessica, the sun will be here in a while, so you'd better go to the tent and rest. Wait for a taste of my handiwork. Well, I'll go as soon as the sun comes up. Receiving my affirmative answer, Amelie's tone cheered up and shouted at the two men, "Hey, you two, build the stove. I'm going to show my hand today." They all persuaded me to go into the tent, making me even more certain that they had put the Viper in the tent. While Michael and James were building the stove, I snuck into Amelie's ear and said, "You know what? There's a surprise inside the tent." Emily blushes and looks at me nervously. "What?" I signaled her to keep her voice down. "SHH. Don't tell me I said that. Michael told me not to tell you." "What do you mean?" "When I left the house in the morning, he told me to make sure I found an excuse not to go into the tent first today, so you could go in first. My guess is that James must have a surprise for you in the tent." Amelie's shocked. "Michael told you that?" I nodded with an innocent expression. "Yeah, anyway, you act surprised when you get there. Oh, and don't say I said it." Emily forgot to hide her emotions from me and grimaced horribly, glancing with complicated eyes at Michael, who was busy building a stove with James. I knew she was filled with doubt and anger at the moment. Her changing expression clearly showed that my disassociation had worked. Shed wondered conspiratorially if Michael had gone soft on me ever since he'd rescued me from the water, and now she had definitely stopped trusting him. Her voice became a little bit gritted. "Don't listen to Michael's nonsense. James is just an elm. What kind of surprise can there be? It's Michael who has a lot of surprises." Emily stood up and headed over to Michael. "I'm going to go skewer, or James is going to get into his dark dishes again. You don't eat peppers, do you?" "I'm with you." "No, just go rest in your tent and wait for the food." I nodded at her and she gave me a chilling smile in the bright sunlight. I walked towards the tent and their talking stopped abruptly, their hands moving as if slowed down, and I knew their attention was locked on me. I unzipped the tent as if nothing had happened and got inside. A cool air hit the tent. The temperature plummeted and the air felt like it was frozen, causing me to hold my breath. Oh, despite my calm appearance, I was actually very scared. I knew that I was on the brink of life and death, sharing a room with a highly venomous snake, but I had no way back. I could only put my life on the line, and hope that the snake-running light medicinal powder, applied on my body, would work. I moved carefully, trying not to startle the Viper lurking in the shadows. There was a faint sound of a snake traveling around the corner, and I could see something wriggling under the edge of the tent mat. The powder seemed to be doing its job, and the snake was trying to crawl silently, at a very slow pace, toward the draft in the doorway. "Ah! Snakes!" I let out a shrill shriek, and there was an explosion of confusion outside. "Wife!" Michael was the first to rush into the tent. "I was bitten by a snake." I pointed to the wounds on my ankles, two small holes that I had made with a bamboo toothpick beforehand to mimic a snake's bite, and two small spots of bright red blood bubbled outward. Michael anxiously examined the wound on my ankle, and James and Emily followed. "What? Snake bite? Bitten by a snake?" they asked. I went into the tent, and suddenly there was a pain, and I pretended to be breathing hard and struggling to speak. "It's a snake," Michael concludes. "Snakes crawled into the tent." Emily feigned horror. I nodded weakly. After some pointless discussion between the few of them, Michael began to pretend to be on his hands and knees, sterilizing me with alcohol and searching for cloth to bandage me. I watched him coldly as he performed these futile acts, and he was so good that sweat broke out on his forehead. I wonder if it's poisoned. "Call for help! Call for help!" he shouts, but Emily and James don't bother to act, and their actions are slow and perfunctory. I pretended to faint. "Wife! Wife!" Michael yelled nervously. "Don't yell. This snake's venom strikes quickly," said James. "What do we do now?" Michael asked, his voice sounding much calmer all of a sudden at the sight of me passing out. "Wait 10 more minutes and call for help, when she's absolutely hopeless? Would it be suspicious to wait another 10 minutes? Emily, call now. Michael said, what, you want to resuscitate it? Emily's being a bitch. You don't want to leave your new wife behind, do you? You don't want her to be the one bitten by the snake, do you? What do you mean by that? Michael asked. You know what I mean. It's useless for you to let her go now. What are you spouting off about, you little bitch? Michael stopped pretending to be civilized and showed his true qualities. While they were arguing, I could hear the snake crawling right under the tent's moisture barrier, and it was slithering toward the doorway, hiding in the corner because of my scent around it. Michael dodged a bullet because he was holding me, while James, who was standing in the doorway trying to talk his way out of a fight, wasn't so lucky. Ah! James screamed as the viper bit him. Fucking hell! How dare you bite me? Uncooked beast! He angrily grabbed a rock and smashed it at the snake, which quickly slithered into the grass. Are you okay? Emily asked James nervously. It doesn't matter. The second bite is not poisonous. I laughed inside. Are you sure it's the second bite? That's better. James said, now that I've been bitten by a snake too, accidents are more believable. Call for help in 10 minutes. It will take at least 20 minutes for the rescue team to get here, and even the gods won't be able to save her by then. All three of them calmed down and, with James taking the lead, began to discuss how they could harmonize their stories and fool the police and insurance investigators. Listening to their conversation, I realized that James, who works in an insurance company, gave Michael and I a policy called Sweet Home in the name of congratulatory gift. On the occasion of our wedding, this policy is exclusively for couples, and it claims that couples can insure each other and their love will not fall down. I signed it without much thought, not realizing that it would become a noose around my neck, pushing myself into a path of death. However, before they could discuss it, James suddenly said, what's going on? I can't feel my legs. What? Michael and Emily look at James' leg and see that the bite mark is swollen high up. James panics and tries to move and finds that he can't stand up at all. How could he be clearly shocked? Toxic. Michael was very surprised. I thought the second bite wasn't poisoned. Emily fretted. Michael was also very puzzled and scared. He reassured James, don't be afraid. The second bite should only be a small amount of residual venom. It's not life-threatening. Quickly call help. James' voice went weak. Michael immediately called for help and continued to act incoherently calling for help. We were bitten by a snake in Bihua Dian. Two people venomous snakes, you guys come on. The person on the other end of the phone seemed to be teaching Michael first aid, and Emily pulled off the cloth to James to tighten his thigh. However, James said sharply and desperately, my arm is also numb, and my head is so dizzy. Emily's hands are full. What's going on so fast? I was coldly listening to what was suddenly happening, and in my heart, I remembered the words James had said before. Even the gods couldn't save it. Serves you right. James, help is on the way, hang in there. Emily cheered James on, but I never heard James respond again. Okay, forget about him. Everything goes according to plan. The case with the snake is still in the backpack. Let's grab it and bury it. Michael commanded. Emily followed him out of the tent, leaving an unconscious James and I behind. The sound of their chattering and arguing came from outside the tent. Michael, this was all part of your plan, wasn't it? You deliberately tried to hurt James. You deliberately tried to hurt James. Hiss your debtor. You won't have to pay him back if he dies, will you? You woman, don't you have any brains? James bought the snake. He said it wasn't poisonous in the second bite. He was unlucky. We were all in the tent at the time. We could have been bitten second. Have you thought about it? He almost got us killed too. At this moment James lay on the floor, scarcely able to move, his lips white, his eyes slightly closed, and his look despairing. He saw me sit up, however, and his drooping eyes opened for a moment with great spirit. I smiled at him and whispered in his ear, "You're the first bite, stupid. The venom all went into your body. Wait to die you." He made a sound in his throat, like the purr of an old cat. I tiptoed over his body and he jerked feebly. The argument outside intensified. Michael taunts Emily, "Don't act like you care about James. Aren't you in it for the money too? Don't let it slip out when the rescue team comes later. I won't cut you short." Do I really have the life to spend it? You were going to get me killed so no one would share the money with you. What are you talking about? Aren't you trying to hurt me by telling Jessica to let me go in the tent first? I told you to go in the tent first. Who told you that? Jessica. She told you that. By this time I had turned from the back of the tent, surreptitiously, into a grove of trees by the grass, and I saw Michael at a distance walking rapidly in the direction of the tent. Sirens sounded in the distance and I ran in the direction of the road. Michael never expected that along with the ambulance from the rescue squad, several police cars would arrive on the scene. The unconscious James was carried into the ambulance while Michael and Emily were handcuffed. "Let go of me. What right do you have to arrest me?" Emily struggled helplessly. "Comrade police, have you made a mistake? We are just out to play. Our friend was bitten by a snake. We have to accompany him to the hospital." Michael explained in a panic, but his eyes could not hide his heart. "What's going on? Let's go to the police station and talk about it." "No, you can't arrest people indiscriminately." Michael still wanted to argue, but in that moment he saw me coming down from the police car, and his voice came to an abrupt end. While they were arguing, I ran into the woods, heard sirens, and knew that police cars were already on their way up the hill. I ran in a dive towards the road, branches cutting my arms and not caring at all. Never in my life have I run that fast. On the mountain highway, I stopped the police car that was on its way to paradise. It was me. I called the police. I couldn't catch my breath in the car. I told the police roughly what happened and turned in my cell phone recording. Before I pretended to be bitten by the snake, I had quietly pressed the record button on my cell phone and recorded all their conversations. How they set up an attempt to kill their wives for insurance. How they used poisonous snakes to murder in an attempt to create an accident. How they argued and got on each other's nerves. All on tape. Also, I have a little witness. The little girl who stayed at the BB. On the lawn of the 100 Flowers meadow. Michael had realized that something might have gone wrong with his plan when he found me, who was supposed to be cool, strangely missing from the tent. However, when he saw me walking down from the police car, he still opened his mouth wide in surprise and forgot his expression management. Old wife. How ironic that it's still called wife. I ignored him. My heart already as cold and hard as stone. I walked straight to the spot where they had just dug a hole to bury the box, and pointed it out to the police, who quickly dug up the blue plastic box that had contained the poisonous snake. "Jessica, you bitch, you didn't get snake-bitten. So you were faking it all." Emily yelled at me. I gave her a disdainful look. "Aren't you guys pretending too? Compared to acting, I'm much worse than you guys. Honey, you are not hurt great. What is the misunderstanding here? I also just realized that this box is James. Michael has not yet refused to remove the disguise. In my opinion, he is like a fish in the net on the shore to make a pointless struggle. Come on, Michael, stop pretending. I've been your prey since the day we met. This trip is just a plot to hurt me. Honey, how can I love you so much? Loves me. The man who loves me doesn't exist. It's just the skin of a viper. Let me explain. Explain it to the police. I've given them the recordings of your conversations in the tent." Michael's true despair came when he heard the words, the pleading eyes slowly hardening. and growing thorns, cold and sharp, pointing straight at me. Suddenly, he growled and tried to pounce on me. "You stinking bitch." The police held him down and dragged him to the police car, and he was still cursing and swearing to no end. A fresh breeze, laced with the scent of wildflowers, blew away the filth from his ears, and the landscape in front of him reasserted itself in its original beauty. I'm smiling in the sunshine. Later, the police restored the truth of the whole incident, and I also learned about the shocking big melon, under the police's great memory restoration technique. Emily explained that she was originally James' lover, and was in partnership with James in order to create an accident. He had murdered James' wife in the same way, and received a large insurance settlement. Emily is a smart person, and after that James proposed marriage several times, and she refused, fearing that she would be set up by James as well. She says she doesn't trust men at all, only money. Later, James takes aim at Michael, who is in debt collection for cheating women out of their money, and solves his immediate problem with a sum of money. The condition is to pull him in, so that Michael can find prey with his handsome appearance and means to women, quickly flash marry, and then kill his wife to cheat the insurance. With little experience in relationships, I fell in love at first sight with Michael on a blind date, and was unfortunate enough to become the object of their prey, and that's what happened afterward. I'm all over the ruins after the storm. Yet it was this experience that made me grow up quickly. After going through this battle between life and death, my heart grew barriers and there was no more fear. These lies and conspiracies, that had caused me so much pain, eventually became the path under my feet that I would follow to new life.